You know, I really like tea.
You know, I could probably write a book, a series of books, in fact, on all the things that the purists in the Doom community and I don't see eye to eye on. But probably the strongest thing more than anything else is the subject of autoaim. The first time I ever played Doom, I of course played it the proper way. No mouselook, with autoaim. The way it was designed to be played, as it were. But ever since then, once I got into modding, I've always played Doom with freelook and with no autoaim. Now, I totally get why the autoaim exists, because back when Doom was originally first created, they were making a game that actually had some verticality, as opposed to Wolfenstein, which was just straight horizontal, and got old really quick because of it. Whereas with Doom, you have different levels of floors, you have enemies that fly higher up, like the cacodemons. It was very well done, especially since it's not really a real 3D game. It's still 2D, and it's mapped in 2D, it's just rendered to look 3D, as it's properly called 2.5D. This was all mostly due to the hardware restrictions at the time, and is why you can't look up or down, because it sort of breaks almost sort of the immersion and sort of makes the physics just look a little bit weird, you know, the way the walls and the floors meet. It's just not quite correct, you know, visually when you're able to look up and down. And so you still need to aim up and down, so thus you had auto aim in order to shoot rockets up top at the cacodemons above you. But that's really where the major flaw of auto-aim comes into play, at least for modern-day Doom players, because the fact is, it is wildly inconsistent. And that's exactly why I hate it. Auto-aim takes away control from you as a player. When playing Doom, I want to be able to choose who the top priority is as an enemy, and then be able to shoot at them accordingly. I don't want to feel like if I aim over to the right, my rocket's gonna go way up top and take out something that's right in front of me instead. Which is exactly what would happen a lot of the time if I was to use auto-aim. To me, in any first-person shooter game, especially Doom, the ability to look around, figure out where my enemies are, and then go after them accordingly is what's really important to me. And I would take the ability for that any day over having to deal with some wonky-looking visual physics. You know, I can get used to all of that. And generally speaking, it's not going to affect my gameplay session past the first 5 minutes. Whereas, if I have to deal with auto-aim, I'm going to have to deal with it the entire stinking time, even though eventually, yes, I'll get used to it and learn to adapt my skills around it. The purists will sometimes tell you that auto-aim will make you a better player, but I strongly disagree. Auto-aim only makes you a better player in the same sense that using a Donkey Kong banana controller in Dark Souls makes you a better Dark Souls player. In the same way that you have to force yourself to learn this restriction and then this thing that kind of holds you back, you have to do the same thing with auto-aim. But I would argue over the long term it would make you a worse player because you're not learning the valuable skill that aiming is. I'd also argue that auto-aim, generally speaking, is really bad for multiplayer sessions because it kind of gives you that slight aimbot advantage. Really, at the end of the day, it basically comes down to, do you want the most pure vanilla Doom experience, or do you want more of modern type control that you would feel in newer FPS games? And for me, I'm strongly in the team of the latter. Now, if you prefer to use the old purist vanilla style, I really can't blame you for it, as it comes down to personal preference. There's really no wrong way to play classic Doom. And if that's what you prefer, there's certainly plenty of options out there for that. But to sit there and actually act like that it's better because it was the original design of the developers, or to say that it breaks the design of certain maps like jumping and crouching, is just totally false. As I've already mentioned, the ability to look up and down is not a feature, it was a forced limitation that people had to deal with due to what hardware they were able to work with at the time. And you can see that by the fact that just a few short years later, when they released games like Heretic and Strife, they added in mouselook themselves. It is very likely that if Doom had come out slightly later, it would have had mouselook featured in and we wouldn't even be having this silly discussion today. Secondly, I have played through tons and tons, thousands of classic Doom maps, and I could probably count on one hand the number of times that having mouselook on actually broke the map's game design. And most of the time that was just when it involved the icon of sin. Yes, if you can look anywhere and aim freely, it does break the icon of sin, and you should turn off mouselook for those types of maps if you want to actually play it properly. But that's really the main exception. Like looking up and down to take monsters out of a corridor that you would otherwise have to pop down in and then deal with them, I just think that that's just better smart playing. That being able to look up and down gives you more control over. That's kind of the whole point. It doesn't break up the gameplay flow. It allows you to deal with it in a different, oftentimes better way. It's not even comparable to things like jumping or crouching, which on a lot of classic maps, using those tools would allow you to actually skip certain entire sections of a map or break it completely. The only comparable exception with autoaim is again cases like the icon of sin, or maybe even possibly buttons that are like mounted really high up that maybe you could look like up if you had vertical aiming on and then shoot at them when you were supposed to get it like an even level to shoot. You see, I'm really just kind of grasping at straws to even find a situation when this would apply. So yeah, that's why I hate autoaim and why you should too. Now, I will say, there clearly must be some sort of reason why autoaim is as popular and widely used as it is, apart from maybe just the whole purist angle. So, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Why do you use autoaim if you do use it? And if not, what are your reasons? Please be sure and let me know, and if I missed per se anything in particular that you feel is important that I should know about autoaim, please let me know down in the comments, because I would definitely like to learn more about the subject and why people choose to use this feature. Regardless of where you stand on this issue, whether you worship the ground John Romero walks on or snort brutal doom for breakfast, I do want to thank each and every single one of you for being a part of the amazing community that we call the Doom player base. Until next time, I've been your host, Cass Gaming, and I will see you all at the top.
Thanks, Sergeant. That's a nice thought for an idiot to have.